A very good morning, and this is going to be a marathon this morning. I would like to welcome all of you on the call. Most of the people that are joining us for the very first time, please do remember that every single weekday, every morning, 6 a.m. to 6:30, we do have these trainings that do take place, and they're supposed to equip you. We do business skills on Monday. Tuesday, we do products. Wednesday, we have distributor stories. Thursday, we do personal development. And then Friday is basically for inspiration. Saturday, we do have longer training that happens between 8:30 and 10, and all these are online. Don't forget, we also have physical trainings that do take place in other times. I'm also proud to say that if you are tuning in from Tanzania, every 9 p.m. During the week, Alson and the world team members there do have their trainings that do take place on Google Meet, and it's been such a good experience. Thank you very much for the team in Tanzania for the work that you're doing, equipping and skilling the people to get moving. Yes, what else? Yeah, a few upcoming events. I need to announce this before I get into our sharing this morning. Yes, we do have a price BV increase for East Africa happening on the 21st of September, 2025. So if you are on the call this morning and you may not have known, but every single year for the company to keep afloat, they do have a small percentage that they do increase. But it's not only to do with the price, it also increases your payment. I remember when I became a director, the time I became a director, the income was, a director was about 800,000. Now, as I speak, it's about 2.5 million shillings. So that is to help you adjust with the inflation rate as it happens. I'm very proud of NeoLife for that, because your income keeps on adjusting according to the inflation and things like that. On the 12th of October, we shall be in Dar es Salaam. As a team, we shall have a big beach day out on the 11th of October. We shall be somewhere in Chigamboni at Sunrise Beach. That will be about 70,000 Tanzanian shillings, which are 100,000 Uganda shillings. Many of you have had that incorporated in your travel costs. And then we're going to be in January in Maction Falls in January 2026. So this is all for the executive managers and above. We look forward to hosting you right there. Then, of course, the dates for Egypt have also been set. We are going to be in Egypt between the 22nd to the 25th of May, 2026. Yes, this week is Portugal. For some of us, the visas have been a little bit disturbing, but let's pray for the best in these last few days. Let me get on to my discussion right now. So you're all very welcome onto the call, guys. Once again, this morning we're discussing a very important pertinent topic, and that is the topic to do with taxes. I remember when I started the business at the age of 20, within a space of 3 years, I was earning close to $3,000. Thanks be to NeoLife. As a young person then, at the age of 23, earning that amount of money, one of the things that kept me awake during the night, and that's because I'd seen and heard a lot of stories to do with taxes, where the question was, how was I going to deal with this thing called taxes? I remember we had a CEO then, Mr. Roger, who always referred to taxes as one of the things that brings down distributors if it is not properly handled. And I mean, it was just an experience I had to get into. Yeah, in fact, I had to cancel myself by going back to study taxation so that I could be able to deal with the fear I had over taxes. So taxes are money that citizens and business people are required to pay by law to the government so that it can run the country. Now, one of the things, of course, I had as a challenge was that, our taxes are not being used very well. Well, that is not really your business. I will tell you that one of the things that kept me a little bit behind, I had to go through counseling to appreciate, was that as to how the taxes were being used was none. Okay, it is my business, but was not something that I could put across as an excuse for not paying taxes. And if you're going to become rich, if you're going to be wealthy, you need to be compliant in as far as taxes are concerned. So it's by law. The government is given power to collect taxes. In each country, there's a revenue authority, Uganda revenue, Kenya revenue, Tanzania revenue authorities, all across East Africa that are required to collect taxes from us. So paying taxes is not optional. For as long as you are making money and you have an income, you are going to pay taxes, whether directly or indirectly. So it's a legal obligation. So there's no way you're going to live in your country if you're not paying the taxes. So taxes, like we have been told, I used to pay for government administration, roads, hospitals, schools, security, and things of that nature. And perhaps without taxes, government cannot serve its people. That's why it's a legal mandate. That's why if you want things to work, the town councils and things like that to work, you have to pay the taxes. So whether we like it as business people, whether we like it or not, as business people, we are going to be faced with tax authorities from time to time. In fact, the true wealth is built on peace of mind. You don't want to be going to sleep thinking about whether you will be closed. Lasting success comes when you build on a strong foundation, and paying your taxes keeps you compliant, protects your business, and gives you freedom to grow without worry. You don't want to be earning certain amounts of income, and I've had some of you testifying, we have bought a piece of land, I've bought this, I bought a car. As you're saying all those testimonies, the taxman is asking themselves, how much of that are you paying to us as a government? Because for as long as you are making an income in a country, you will always be faced with that kind of what? You'll always be faced with individuals, people that are going to be asking you for taxes because you are actually earning an income in that space or in that country that you're in. So wealth is built the right way that you can enjoy, so that you can enjoy it. For you to build that wealth the right way so that you can enjoy it, you must be very knowledgeable and up to date with that about the taxes. Now, I just took taxes from around East Africa and also in Uganda, but these do not really differ much in Kenya and Tanzania. So we have taxes that come from employment. So if you're employed, there's something they call payee, where you are required to give the government a certain amount of money as an employee, and it's the employer that submits that money on your behalf. Okay, we have taxes that come from rental income, and that's if you own any rentals. So I'm going to explain these just briefly so that you can actually be able to get some assistance. Now, for the guys that are on call from Kenya, Zambia, and Tanzania, there could be something similar, but we can always get something that can help you wherever you are. So employment income, that's what you hear as what we call pay as you earn here in Uganda. Where does it come from? From salaries, wages, bonuses, allowances. Probably people that are employed by the company, like the staff, Catherine, Godfrey. The company has to pay this on their behalf in regards to the employment income. We distributors are not employed by the company, so I'm going to explain to you what kind of tax we have to pay. So this tax is deducted monthly by the employer and it's sent to the tax authority. And as far as Uganda is concerned, many employees earn below, any employee that earns below 235,000 per month actually does not pay any tax. And those that are above this threshold are taxed on a sliding scale between 10% all the way up to 30%. And even there's an extra 10% for those that earn incomes that are higher than 10 million shillings per month. So for those that are employed and are earning an income from their companies, and they are employed, they have employment contracts, they will actually always pay as you earn, and it's about 10 to 30%, depending on how much money. Now, the only person that does not pay tax in Uganda is the person or the individual that is actually earning less than 235,000 per month from their employer. Okay. Now, rental income tax. Now, again, this is also very important because I think people, you see, you cannot, there's no way you're going to grow rich. Even if you're employed and you're earning 10 million shillings per month from your employer, you're going to have to pay probably an additional 30 or 44 million shillings every single month to the tax authority in order for you to earn that income that you are earning from your employer. Okay. So another source of income that people usually use, we have rental income. So rental income is taxed separately from your regular income, especially here in Uganda. So if you are James and you own 2 rental units in Kampala, each rental unit you rent out at 250,000 per unit. In a year, you collect maybe about 6 million shillings. And usually what happens is that because you're collecting that money and that is an income to you, the tax or the law allows you to remove about 2.8 million shillings, which is tax-free. Yeah, beyond that, you have to pay a certain amount of money on that tax, and the rate is about 12% for individuals. So if you are owning any rental property around Kampala, around Uganda, you will definitely be required to pay taxes at one point, and you'll have to pay probably about a flat rate of about 12% on the income you're getting from that rental property. Now, I'm telling you this because I think it's important to understand that irrespective of where you are, whatever business you're ever going to do, there's a concept and there's a there's a bit of that income that you have to remit back to government in form of taxes because you're earning income from that particular rental bit. Other incomes that people are picking up, if you're an owner of a company and in that company you have shares as one of its owners, when the company is giving you its dividends, and those are profits from that company that are paid out to owners of that company after the company has finished paying its expenses and taxes, the company will have to withhold 15%. So for some of us that perhaps have been owning shares, like say in Stanbic, right here, when the bank declares that you have gotten a dividend of 1 million shillings, they'll deduct 15% of that, and they'll have to pay it to URA. You see that deduction by the bank when it's paying you your dividend for owning a share, that 150,000 is what is given to URA. Then you paid the bill, the difference. Yeah. So please note, commissions, and that is money from your work in NeoLife, and not dividends. Dividends is money from owning a piece of the company. So I'll be coming down to the commissions as well, but you need to understand that dividends is also one of the places where they'll charge you a bit of a tax. Interest income is also one of those places where they will also charge you a bit of a tax. So if you are part of a circle and you are a NeoLife distributor, you're saving part of your commission in a circle or a bank, or it's been fixed before the bank pays you an interest on that money, because you say put 5 million shillings on fixed deposit in a bank and they'll promise you 10%. For example, it's just an example. So the bank goes ahead, lends and promises to pay you 10% per year. When the bank is paying you your 500,000, which is 10% of the 5 million, which is interest for the year, they'll deduct 15%, that is 75,000, and send it to URA before you get your interest. So you'll get 455,000 as opposed to 500,000, because you have to get 15% deducted at the end of the day. Now, maybe even as I share all this, ladies and gentlemen, I will also let you know that if you have any questions, please put them in the chat room. If we have enough time, I will respond to them. Okay. What else? Royalties. All these are forms of payments that attract tax. So if you've written a book, a song, a film, and it's being used by someone else, like a song, and they're using it at the radio station, you're asking for royalties. They will also still deduct a certain amount of percentage, which will be forwarded. Now, you notice the people that are paying you are the ones that forward the money to your tax authority. So it is not just something that is new. It is being done in each and every single bit. Another form of tax is when you have to sell an asset or something of that nature. We call this capital gains, especially if you have sold an asset and it has been able to appreciate, and you're making a profit out of it. So they will charge a tax on the profit, not on the full selling price. They'll charge a tax on the profit. Now, usually, if it's ordinary personal land sales, like your home or a piece of land that is personally owned by you, here in Uganda, it will not attract any form of tax, at least not as yet. Maybe URA or KRA, TRA will wake up eventually after. And this could also be done in some of the other East African countries. Just that I'm using what is happening right here in Uganda. So if Sarah buys apartments and she bought apartments maybe of 50 million shillings in 2018, and then she resells them in 2025, the URA will take 30% of the profit that has been picked up as business income. Yeah, and if Sarah is an individual, it will be about 30%. If she's registered as a company, it will also be about 30%. So all these are areas. Now, we also have other common taxes. Now, some of these taxes are paid on your behalf, or they are supposed to be paid by NeoLife. I'll give an example, like value-added tax. this is paid on the goods and services. So when your company sells to us products, they sell to us products and they add an additional 18%. Now in Kenya, it is 16%, in Tanzania, it is 18%. And as of 2025, right here in Uganda, businesses that exceed a turnover of 150 million shillings, that means if you're making sales of 150 million shillings a year, you are required by law to register for VAT. And with the Uganda Revenue Authority, that's maybe approximately about 12.5 million shillings per month. Now, these are, of course, if you earn 12.5 million shillings per month, you are required to register for VAT. Now, these are mainly PT businesses. So for some of us that are going to be going up all the way up to PT, our presence team, you'll be required to register for VAT, because the moment you're earning over 150 million shillings a year, any business that does that has a turnover of 12.5 million shillings every single month, 150 million shillings throughout the whole year, is required to ensure that it puts in its VAT. Now, VAT is usually charged on the goods and services, so it's not paid by it's paid by the public. You could say anyone that is earning an income and they're earning they're selling a service or a good, they'll add 18% to that service or good as a form of tax that is supposed to be submitted to URA. Now, this is a whole long topic. I just want to cover the overviews, an overview of everything. So in case you want to get some more details, maybe you get them at the right time, or you get them if you ask and you ask me or ask a couple of people on an individual basis. So VAT is not something that is of a concern to you as a distributor. But if eventually, just know that when you become a presence team member one day, you'll be required to pay VAT at one point. Then you also have customs duty. Now, remember, NeoLife pays all the custom duties for our imported products. So that is not something that you are going to pay as a distributor. And I think it's important for you to understand that as well. It's not easy to go through these customs duties. It's very, very painful. It can be quite an experience. And I can tell you that I've seen so many business people out there that do struggle quite seriously when it comes to paying custom duties. But NeoLife does that on our behalf and avails us with the products wherever we are. Excise duty is not something that we apply to NeoLife, but just for your knowledge, the government can try and control the use of certain products or regulate them, like say alcohol or fuel or airtime, by imposing an excise duty. Fortunately enough, no excise duty is imposed on NeoLife products. Okay, then this is exactly what concerns you, and this is why we're going to spend a bit of time on. So business income tax. So in Uganda, and it could apply the same in Kenya and Tanzania, you are required by law that if you're receiving business income, any profit or gain from trade, a profession, vocation, or business activity, if you are receiving any income from a business, you are required to pay a certain tax. Now, this covers if you're a sole proprietor. That means if you're a person working as an individual. Now, most of us in the company, we are sole proprietors by default, because when the company pays us, those commissions, it's paying us in our names, and sole proprietors are individuals who are doing businesses in their names. If you can make your sole proprietorship more professional by registering it. I'll be sharing with you how you can do that a little bit later. You may have a partnership. Yeah, you can register your business as a partnership. It can be a single member company. It can be a limited company. Yeah. Now, in NeoLife, most of us actually operate and are in partnership with NeoLife as sole proprietors. For a NeoLife distributor, your commissions and resale profits are business income. And that's why we actually need a team when you are running and building your business with NeoLife. Now, I thank God that NeoLife has seen this a little bit early. When I started 20 years ago, it was not a big deal. But let me tell you, ladies and gentlemen, all across East Africa, as we keep on growing, as governments grow, as we become more developed, people pick up on some of these things. In some of the developed countries, it is a given. You go to the US, the reason why you cannot build business in the US and you're not a citizen there is because you don't have a number. I think it's called the Social Security Fund, a Social Security number, SSN, that allows you to do business in that country. So where you cannot register as a NeoLife distributor in the US or in Europe when you don't have some of these identification numbers that allow you to do business in their regions. Yeah, so even in Uganda and all across East Africa, Kenya, Tanzania, it's already in Kenya now, all across East Africa, you are required to have a tax identification number that allows you to do business in that country. How business income is computed. So this is how they compute business income. So they get your income, and that is all the money you earn. That's the commission, the sales, and if you charge any service fee, and then they remove all the allowable expenses. Now, these expenses must be wholly or exclusively incurred in the production of that income. That means, and I'm going to explain this very clearly, that you cannot remove an expense from your business income that is not meant for that business. Yeah, so if you are selling NeoLife products and you go and buy a bag of cement, you cannot bring that receipt of the bag of cement and you include it in your expenses for your NeoLife business because you're not in the business of selling cement. Yeah, so some of those deductible things that are allowed, and I think this is very important for us to appreciate. And as distributors, if you're listening to this for the first time, you'll get the recording and just go over it once again. So for you to have that formula working for you, where the company, where URA, the tax authority, is able to identify your business income. You're able to identify your business income while they're looking at all the money you've received from NeoLife, whether it's commission, whether it's profits, less the allowable deductions, or less the expenses that they allow you to deduct. Then you're able to get a figure which they're going to impose a tax on. Now, some of the examples of allowable deductions or expenses that are allowed by the tax authorities, say like the cost of NeoLife products bought for resale. Now, please note, bought for resale. If you're buying products for personal use, they may not be allowed as a deduction. That's why it's important for you to keep receipts and things of that nature when you're working. Transport costs for delivering of the products. It could also be transport costs to go and do the business. Airtime and internet used for customer follow-up. If you're renting an office, staff wages. Now, this does not apply to you. It usually applies to people that have bigger businesses. Training and education costs related to business. If you have a laptop or you have a car or something of that nature and it's registered in the company's names or it's registered in your names as a sole proprietor, it is something that they would also allow in regards to depreciations. They would allow that as a deduction in regards to your business. Now, if you are going to get money and you're going to buy land, you're going to eat food, it is your money for home rent, it is for your school fees, that money has to be taxed and it is not part of the expenses that is allowed by the tax authority in regards to building your business. Yeah, so things like clothing, entertainment for friends, unless it is strictly documented and it's meant for business, many of those things will not be put in deductions that are supposed to be for what? For business. So in order for you to keep records, and you have to keep recording some of these things. So some of us as NeoLife distributors, we're going to have to learn how to do this right now. You have to learn how to do this right now. You have to learn how to keep records of your sales and commissions. Usually this is also done by the bank statement. You have to learn how to keep records of your expenses. You have to learn how to keep receipts, because all these reduce your income that they're going to tax. And I'm going to give you an example just shortly. You have to have a good cash book. That's a simple book which shows the money coming in, it shows the money going out, it shows the running balance, so that you are able to have a good record for the authorities. You have to have a bank and mobile money statements. This is something that's also usually URA or these authorities refer to cross-check payments with the bank. You have to have an asset register if you have some things that you, like a laptop, a phone. As a business person, you must know what assets you have in your business. Then, of course, you have to get withholding tax certificates. Now, NeoLife does give out those withholding tax certificates, especially when they pay you an income that is above $1 million, and I'll also be explaining that. So all these records help you to file what we call returns. I've not explained that right now, but I want to just tell you that good record keeping is not just for the tax authority. It's not just for URA. It helps you know your real profits. It helps you avoid, my time is going quite fast. It helps you avoid paying more taxes than necessary and things of that nature. So I'll give an example. So if Sarah is a NeoLife distributor, you're going to receive commissions from NeoLife, and I'm taking this for a year. So if for a year you've received commissions of about 1 million shillings, and then you've done your product resale profits, you have made profits of about 3 million shillings, that means your gross income is 15 million shillings. Now, the tax authority will allow you to reduce these as expenses that are used for the business. So if you've spent so much on transport deliveries, you've spent so much on airtime, you've spent so much on training, you'll find that your total expenses, say, are amounting to about 10 million shillings. Now, the money they're going to tax is the 15 million shillings. So it's the 5 million shillings that comes from your gross income minus the 10 million shillings that comes from your deductions. So the 5 million is what they're going to tax. And that is important for you to understand, because now when it comes to taxing bit, usually the tax rates for a business person are different from the tax rates from an employee. And I'm not going to go so much into that detail now, but I just want you to understand that, for example, like now, Sarah, as a sole proprietor, who has gotten 5 million shillings profit, will pay about 324,000 in as far as her tax is concerned. Yeah, but if Sarah is actually registered as a company, and maybe you've registered your company as a single member company, and you still got a profit of 5 million shillings, they will charge you a flat rate of about 30%, just in respect. I think this 30% applies all across East Africa. And you'll find that Sarah as a company will pay maybe about 1.5 million shillings in taxes for her running her business as a company. Now, that doesn't mean that when you're running the business as a company, it's you are at a disadvantage. No, as you make more profits, as your income goes much higher, you're going to have to probably change from being a sole proprietor to becoming a company. Yeah, so note that a sole proprietor, usually URA and the tax authority might challenge some of your expenses and deductions, because remember, your records are mixed up with your personal accounts. So you must have very clear records that show that the money used for personal effects is separate from the money you've used for business. Now, I'll come to what is actually is very key, right? And I may need 5 minutes to complete this. So withholding tax is a tax that is deducted from the source of income before you are paid. That is something that NeoLife is going to be starting to do, especially for some of us that they're already doing it in Kenya. They're going to start doing it in Tanzania. They're going to start doing it in Uganda as well. So it is like, please, you need to understand that the person paying you, NeoLife in this particular case, withholds part of your money that is meant for taxes and sends it directly to the tax authority, which is URA, on your behalf. So it is your money and it's your taxes, but the authorities require that the company that pays you any money to withhold that money, and it's like a tax in advance against your final tax, you know? So in NeoLife, I think in Kenya it's about 10%. Tanzania and Uganda maybe 6%. I'm not sure about Tanzania, but in Uganda I'm sure it's 6%. And usually it's credited against your income tax. The tax I've been talking about here. So when you look at that 1.5 million shillings you're supposed to pay, or that 324,000 that Sarah is supposed to pay as a sole proprietor to URA, when NeoLife pays you that commission, they withhold that money in anticipation that by the end of the year, once they've withheld enough money to be able to clear the 324,000. Now, if it's not enough, you have to pay a little bit of an extra. So at the end of the year, if URA adds up your total tax and your withholding that has been deducted is not enough, you top up for the balance. If it is enough, then you can get a refund. It doesn't usually happen to get a refund, but even in the event that you are cleared for a refund, that is also something that they will definitely be able to pay you. Now, under our Income Tax Act, it is required by law that any person who is making a payment of an amount exceeding 1 million shillings, and usually this is money like to executive managers and above, in respect to a service or goods. Now, we are providing a service to URA of marketing, and so we are providing a service to NeoLife of distributing NeoLife products. That's why the relationship between us and NeoLife is one of a business nature. We are not employees. We are in partnership in as far as the business is concerned. Sorry, just a moment. Yeah, so they are required to withhold a rate of about 6%. What does that mean? For any payments that NeoLife is paying out of 1 million shillings, the law requires NeoLife to withhold on that 1 million shillings pass. So NeoLife must withhold that tax. And this is something that URA and all the tax authorities across East Africa have become very serious with. And NeoLife is very compliant, because what usually happens that if the company is not withholding this money, it can be caused to close down. they can cause NeoLife to close down in East Africa if the company does not oblige and is not compliant in withholding whatever is supposed to be withheld, and that means as an independent distributor, we have to be able to understand this and be able to work this. So from the 5 million shillings, for example, that Sarah has gotten as a company, and from the what else? From the 5 million and from the 324,000, I'll give you an example just now. So Sarah earns, if Sarah is earning a commission of about 1 million shillings per month, and NeoLife is required to withhold 6% per month, that's about 60,000. NeoLife sends the 60,000 to URA as withholding tax. Yeah, then Sarah receives 940,000. That is how it works. But at the end of the year, when Sarah calculates her total income tax, and maybe it's 1.5, then they will multiply, say, that 60,000 times 12, which is 720,000, which has already been credited and paid to her account in URA. So Sarah still has to pay the difference, which is 780,000, to complete her income tax obligation for the year. That is how this income tax, this withholding thing actually works. Yeah. So it's important for you to understand that maybe moving into the future, and this is just for you to understand that we have to think, when you start the business, you start in the business to earn money. You want big money. Okay, sorry guys, you want big money. You want big money. So you must understand that going into that space, you're going to think of yourself as a sole proprietor. Yeah, and it doesn't matter right now, but you have to plan in the next couple of months, between September and October. First and foremost, we have to apply for TINs if you don't have a TIN before. Now, like I've explained, a TIN is not a bad thing. It is a requirement if you're going to be earning money from NeoLife. NeoLife is going to be withholding. They cannot withhold against a number that has no TIN. And that's why by starting with the 1st of November, every distributor that starts the business will be required to have a TIN. The good thing when you apply for a TIN, it is free of charge. Okay. I also want to just remind you that building wealth is not just about working hard. It's about working smart and staying compliant. Taxes are not meant to stop your growth. They are rules of the game that give you a peace of mind and freedom to grow without penalties. You want to be purchasing land and buying all these properties and putting your children in very good schools when you are actually compliant. Because the moment the government finds out, or the tax authorities find out, that you are actually earning all this income but you're not paying any taxes, you're going to be shut down. I have seen leaders across the world, and I've actually been told stories of leaders that were once 5 diamond directors, but the moment the tax authorities reached their doors and they asked for their money, they were affected so much that they came down back to world team, simply because they were required by those governments to actually pay the taxes. And I've seen this in Kenya, I've seen this in South Africa. So we need to be very smart as we build the business. You need to keep proper records, and you also need to know the difference between being a sole proprietor. I advise that if you are going to be between a distributor and a world team, it's good for you to be a sole proprietor. And then as you grow further, maybe world team and above, you transition over to a company. Yeah, so we need to become very professional as business people moving forward. And I believe that this session perhaps has been quite helpful in that sense. Now, I see a couple of questions that have come through. I am sorry, because of time, I'll not be able to do that. Because of time, I'll not be able to do that. And some of the questions are kind of not applicable. Dr. Eve, you'll see me for that. I'll not say so much about ground rent and things like that. And some of the other things I'll talk about. I came to just share with you why, as a distributor, you need to have your TIN number by the 1st of November, 2025. Because if you're going to earn income, and you're going to earn a lot of money from NeoLife, but if you're going to earn that money, you must be tax compliant. And we shall guide you along the way as you grow in the business, how you can be tax compliant, and what are the effects of some of these things, like the withholding tax and the income tax. So thank you very much for listening in this morning. I hope it has been a fruitful training for you. I hope you've been able to understand quite a few things about taxes. Maybe next week, I'll go into a little bit more of this and guide you further on how, as a NeoLife distributor, you can run a good, beautiful business. So may the good Lord keep you, and may you have a wonderful month end. Today is the first day of month end. Yes, which the warehouse will be closing at about 7 p.m. all across East Africa. So let's maximize it. The guys in Uganda, I don't know, Supergrow should be here by now, but in case it isn't, then you know what, we push on. But I can tell you this week will not end when we don't have Supergrow. It's somewhere at the border, it's somewhere within the country. The company is still clearing all those custom duties, making sure that all the people that they have to be compliant with are properly being dealt with. But we shall have Supergrow. If it's not today, it has to be today. We are praying that it is today, and we should be able to have all the other products as well back in stock. So thank you very much. Have a good day, people. God bless.